Okay, I apologize. Google Meet was not working correctly for me, and I tried to record, but it did not work. So I'm making another video here. It'll probably be quicker anyway. We're going to go through this review. It will help you on your test. I would really encourage you to write everything down and possibly keep it in your notebook so you can use it on your exam. The exam is open note. So our first question is 6x minus 3 equals 5x plus 9. So we want to solve this for x. We're going to subtract 5x from both sides because you've got to get those x's together first. And that's just going to give you one x, which we can just write as an x minus 3 equals 9. And then we just have to add 3 to both sides. So x equals 12 is going to be our answer. So we're just going to get my mouse to work. We're going to go over here and type in 12. And go on. For the second one, we've got another equation to solve. This one's a little tougher. We've got 3 times p minus 5. That question should say solve for p, not solve for x, I guess. Plus 6 equals 5p minus 1. So we would distribute here. That's going to give us 3p minus 5 plus 6 equals 5p minus 1. Sorry, this thing is going crazy. And now we need to combine our like terms. So we can put this, this should be a 15 because we have to do 3 times 5, which is going to give us 15. We're going to put this negative 15 and 6 together. So we get 3p minus 9 equals 5p minus 1. So we will subtract 3p from both sides. So negative 9 equals 2p minus 1. Now we need to add 1 to both sides. And so that's going to give us negative 8 equals 2p. And we divide both sides by 2. So negative 4 is our p. So we'll put that in as our answer here. Okay. This one is not showing up correctly.
At this time,
Alright, I think I can remember what this one was. Hopefully it'll show up correctly for you whenever you see it on number 3. I think it was 4 parentheses x minus 5 parentheses minus x equals 3 parentheses x plus 2 parentheses minus 1. And we need to solve this one for x, so we'll distribute both of these here. So we'll get 4x minus 20 minus x equals, and then over here we'll get 3x plus 6 minus 1. And so we want to combine our like terms. And we've got 4x, and this is like a negative 1x here. So when we put those together, we're going to get 3x minus 20. And over here on the right side, we'll get 3x plus 5. We can't solve this equation when we've got x's on both sides of the equation, so we're going to subtract our 3x. But when we do that, the 3x cancels on both sides, leaving us just with a negative 20 equals 5. And negative 20 does not equal 5. That is not true. So this answer is going to be no solution. If we had gotten something like negative 20 equals negative 20, or 3 equals 3, or 5 equals 5, then we would have infinitely many solutions. But in this case, negative 20 does not equal 5, so we would choose no solution. This is what's going to happen whenever your variables cancel out and you don't have any variables left at all. Okay, moving on to number 4. For number 4, it asks us for the midpoint, and so I will remind you of the midpoint formula, which is x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and then y1 plus y2 divided by 2. And so for this problem, we've got 4, 9, and negative 6, 17. So we are going to do 4 plus negative 6. Make sure you're adding there. It's like an average. Add together, divide by 2. And then you got 9 plus 17 divided by 2. And so this is going to give us negative 2 over 2. And right here, we're going to get 26 over 2. So we end up with negative 1 and 13 as our midpoint. So we're going to have negative 1 and 13. Okay, so that was number 4. Let's move on. Number 5 is going to ask us to graph the equation y equals 3/4 x minus 2. So I'm going to pull up a graph over here. And so we would, for this one, have a y-intercept at negative 2. And we have a slope of 3 over 4. So we would go up 1, 2, 3, to the right 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. We could go back down in this direction here. And we will have this line right here. And so when we compare this to our answer choices that we have, my first one's not showing up. I hope that one's not right. I think the answer is going to be the second one right here. I've got a y-intercept right here at negative 2. If I go up 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, that looks perfect. So I'm going to pick this answer here. This one's incorrect because the slope is incorrect. You go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 3, which is not right. And this one has the incorrect y-intercept. So that second one there is our answer, but now be careful with yours. Your graphs might be showing up in a different order than mine, so you need to make sure you're matching the correct graph. Okay. For number 6, we're supposed to write the equation which matches the graph below. So if I look at this equation, I can write the equation of that pretty easily. I just need to know my slope and my y-intercept. So if I look from maybe this point down to this point, rise over run, if I go down 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So my slope is 3 over 4, except this line is decreasing. It's going down. So that means it has to have a negative slope. So I have a slope of negative 3/4 x, and then a y-intercept right here at positive 2. The problem with this question is that all of our answer choices are given in standard form. They're not given in y equals mx plus b form, which is what I know. So I've got to check all of my answer choices to see which one matches this. So I'm just going to start with A right here. And I've got 3x plus 4y equals 8. And I want to solve this for this y right here. I want to get that y by itself. So I would start by subtracting that 3x. That'll move it over here to the other side. So 4y would equal 8 minus 3x. Or you can write that as negative 3x plus 8 if you want. And then you'll divide 4. But you got to divide everything by 4. And we've gotten lucky on this one because right here we get 2 minus 3/4 x. This looks a little different than what we started with here, but notice we got a y-intercept at positive 2. We got a slope of negative 3/4. It's just this one's written with the x at the end. So A right here is going to be our answer, so we got lucky. Now make sure yours are probably in a different order, so make sure you're choosing 3x plus 4y equals 8. That one is the correct answer for number 6. Okay. For 7, we have to write the equation of the line that passes through negative 2, 1 and has a slope of 3. To do this, we need to use y equals mx plus b. And so m is our slope. It tells us our slope is 3. So we know we've got y equals 3x plus b. The other thing we need to find here is this y-intercept for this problem. So, okay, so to find this y-intercept, we are going to use the point that they gave us. So we've got negative 2, 1. And that point, the negative 2 is our x-coordinate, and the 1 is our y-coordinate. So where the y is at, we're going to put 1. And where the x is at right here, we're going to put negative 2. And we're just going to leave that plus b there because that's what we're trying to find. And we're just solving this equation. So the first thing we need to do is just multiply that 3 and then negative 2 together. So 1 equals negative 6 plus b. We just got to add the 6 to both sides. So 7 equals b. So that's our y-intercept. So our equation for this line is going to be y equals 3x plus 7. And that is my third answer choice right here. All right, let's look at number 8. It says, which of the following is a equation of a horizontal line? So just to review, a vertical line which is a line that goes up and down like this, it has an equation of x equals a number. So it might be x equals 3, or x equals negative 5, or x equals 1,000,000. Any of those are all vertical lines. A horizontal line, which is what we're looking for here, has the equation, horizontal line, looking like this, has the equation of y equals a number. And so it might look like y equals 2, or y equals 4, y equals negative 30. Those are all horizontal lines. If an equation has an x and a y, it is a slanted line like this. So if we look over here, these last two options here, y equals 4x and x equals y plus 1, those both have an x and a y, so those are slanted lines. Here we've got x equals 10, that is a vertical line, y equals 3, that is our horizontal line there. Okay. For number 9, it tells us that a line passing through point A and point B has an undefined slope. Which of the following could be the coordinates of A and B? So what we're looking for here is we're looking to use our slope formula. And our slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And you pretty much just have to check out your answers here. So if we look at that first answer choice, if we're finding our slope, we've got negative 10, 4, and 1, 7. So let me just remind you what you're doing here. You're taking y2. So this is like x1, y1, x2, y2. So you're taking y2, which is 7. You're subtracting y1, which is 4. You're taking x2, which is 1. You're subtracting x1, which is negative 10. So in this case, you're going to get 3 over 11. That is not undefined, so A is not the answer. Let's try B. For B, we've got 4, 1, and 4, negative 6. So I would say negative 6 minus 1 over 4 minus 4. And so that's going to give us negative 7 over 0. Now, this is undefined. If you're having trouble remembering what undefined is, you are allowed to use Desmos on your test. So go over to Desmos, type it in, negative 7 divided by 0. It's going to tell you that it's undefined there. So the correct answer for this question is the second one, 4, 1, and 4, negative 6. You could also check the others to be sure, but we're not going to take time to do that right now. Okay? I don't know why some of these aren't showing up well. I hope they show up okay for you, especially since I'm pretty sure that one's the answer, that last one there. it says, which of the following lines is perpendicular to 2x minus 5y equals 10? And so, if we remind ourselves about parallel and perpendicular lines, parallel lines have the same slope, different y-intercepts. Perpendicular lines have slopes that are opposite reciprocals. And opposite reciprocals means to flip and change signs. Okay, so the equation they've given us is 2x minus 5y equals 10. And we don't know the slope of that line because it's not solved for y. So first, we're going to have to subtract 2x from both sides. That's going to give us negative 5y equals 10 minus 2x. And then we're going to divide everything by negative 5. And we're going to get y equals negative 2 plus 2/5 x. And so the slope of this line is 2/5 right here. And you can see that one of our answer choice also has a slope of 2/5. But this asks us for a perpendicular line. So to find that perpendicular slope, I'm going to use that upside down T. It means perpendicular. M is the letter we use for slope. We're going to flip this fraction upside down, so that's going to be 5/2. And we've got to change the sign. So since it was a positive 2/5, we've got to make it a negative 2/5. And so that correct answer is this one that's not showing up well. It's 9 minus 5/2 x, but it's not showing up well. Hopefully it shows up for you guys on yours. Okay. For 11, we've got to write the equation of a line that is parallel to y equals 1/3 x minus 4 and passes through the point negative 6, 9. So we know that the equation is parallel to y equals 1/3 x minus 4, which means it has the same slope, and the slope of this line is 1/3. So we know we're starting off with y equals 1/3 x plus b. And like we did on that question we did just a few minutes ago, we want to find that b. We want to find that y-intercept. So we're going to take our point, negative 6, 9, and negative 6 is our x-coordinate, 9 is our y-coordinate. We're going to plug this in. So 9 goes in here for the y. Negative 6 goes for the x, so we put the plus b here. 1/3 times negative 6 is negative 2. And the last step we're going to do here is add that 2 to get that b by itself. So 11 is going to equal b. And so that is our y-intercept. Our equation is going to be y equals 1/3 x plus 11. To answer this question here, you got to type your slope in this box. So type in 1 divided by 3. Please use a fraction here on these problems. And then you'll have 11 for your y-intercept. Okay. 12 is a little bit tricky. For 12, we're asking which line has the highest y-intercept. So the first thing we got to do is like we did back on number 10, is we've got to solve this equation, 3x minus 7y equals 14. We've got to solve it for y so that we can find the slope. So let's solve this equation for y. We're just going to subtract that 3x to move it over here to the other side. So negative 7y equals 14 minus 3x. We're going to divide everything by negative 7. So y is going to equal negative 2. And negative divided by negative gives us a positive 3/7 x. So the y-intercept of this line right here is negative 2. Now, the other one's a little trickier to figure out. We've got a table here, and I'm going to write it this way. We've got x, y. I'm going to leave myself a couple spots here for a particular reason. And then I'm going to make my table. So I've got 2, 0, 3, 1, 4, 2, 5, 3. Now, if we go over to Desmos, you can graph this on Desmos. You can add a table, just do the plus and put the table right here. And you can tell it 2, 0, and 3, 1, 4, 1. Oh, sorry, trouble here. There we go. 4, 2, 5, 3, and it'll put the dots up here. So you could just kind of look at what's going to happen right here, and you can see the y-intercept is going to be -2. Or, if you fill in your table right here, if you go backwards, you can see each time you increase your x by 1, you increase your y by 1, so you're adding 1. So if we want to go backwards, we need to subtract 1. So we get -1 here, 2, -0, -2. If I add those points here, 1, -1, I could add 0, -2. You can see that point I just added, 0, -2. That is our y-intercept. So right here, if x equals 0, then y is your y-intercept. So we're looking right here where x equals 0, and then this is our y-intercept. So if we go back over here, there is an answer here where it says line A and B have the same y-intercept. That would be our answer for this one. Alright, 13 is not showing up well here either. The function is fine. F of x equals x minus 4 squared plus 1. But didn't show up well right here on this. I think it'll show up okay for you. It did earlier for me. It's asking for f of -2. And what it means whenever it's asking for f of -2 is it wants you to plug in -2 for your x value. So in this case, when we're finding f of -2, we're going to have -2 minus 4 squared plus 1. And we have to use our order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. So, -2 minus 4 is what's in our parentheses. We're going to do that first. So we'll have -6 squared plus 1. Then we have to do our exponent. So -6 squared is -6 times -6. Remember, that's -6 times -6, which is positive 36 plus 1. And then that's going to give us 37. So if we type in our answer over here, that'll be our answer. Now, 14 is a bad problem. I just typed in a blank problem. So that one, you can actually type in 0 for the answer and it might count it right. I'm going to try that and see if it works for me. But if you don't get that one right, I will go back and give you the point back for that one because that is just, I just left a blank problem there. I forgot to put it in. So that means 15 is our last problem that we're going to do here. And so this is another function problem. And it asks us for g of 13 minus f of 2. So what we've got to do here is we have to find g of 13 and we have to find f of 2 and we've got to subtract those two values there. So when we find g of 13, we're plugging 13 into that g function. So it's going to be 13 minus 4 divided by 3. So to do this, we'd have to subtract first. 13 minus 4 would give us 9 divided by 3. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. So our g of 3 is 3 right here. And we're also going to find f of 2, which means we're plugging 2 into that f function, which is 5 times 2 minus 2. Make sure you use your order of operations. You're going to multiply first. So you got 10 minus 2, and 10 minus 2 is 8. So f of 2 is 8, so we're putting our 8 right here, and we got to subtract these two numbers. So 3 minus 8 is going to give us negative 5. So that would be our answer for this problem. So I'm going to plug that in, and I'm going to submit mine just to see if we got them all right. And let's see if it tells me. And we did. Everything is correct. If you'll put in your answer as 0 for that number 14, it's going to count it right, even though there's not really a question there. So if you have any questions about this, you can ask me tomorrow in class, and I'll be glad to help. Everybody have a good night.